someone dies. Hey,
Hey.
we're just
Wow,
about
that's a
live.
great way to start, Dad.
Yeah, we're here on the pre-show. We're started a couple of minutes early. So if you're on a little earlier watching the recording, you'll get to see our pre-show here. We like to, you know, it's crazy because we actually we have Amy in the background, and she's taking the Zoom and feeding it into Facebook and clicking all these buttons. And I'll tell you, it's a wonderful world we live in, you know, but it still isn't something that Apple designed. I'll tell you that. So, you know, I remember, I don't know if anybody out there while we have a pre-show remembers the first Macintosh, how much better it was than Windows, when like the first, like Excel started on the Mac. And I remember I was working at Corning and my boss bought a Mac, the first Mac, and instead of doing slash file open, or if you wanted to take an average, you did slash average equals, and you go, and you just said, you just scooped over the things you wanted and went up and chose average, and boom, it happened. It was like a religious experience, that first time using a Mac. Now Windows has kind of copied it. And so, but boy, I'll tell you, anybody out there, if you did, put it in the chat. Let me know that you were an early Mac user. And I actually got the second Mac. I carried it into work at Corning every day. And inside the case is written, the case is signed by all the original developers. They're molded into the inside of the case. So they don't make computers like that anymore.
That's very exciting, Dad.
It is, but we are right now at 4:30. Sam, you want to kick us off?
Well, hi, everybody. Welcome to the Happy Half Hour, brought to you by Carolina Retirement Planners. I'm Sam Shukavage, and with me, as always, is my father, David Shukavage, our fearless leader here at Carolina Retirement Planners. So welcome. And for those of you who haven't been with us before, we can't tell that you're here unless you type into the chat. So if you want to say hey, feel free to say hey below. Tell us what you're drinking during the Happy Half Hour or how you're doing today. I see that we have Bruce. Hey, Bruce, good to see you. Well,
Yeah, good to be seen by you. Rick.
Good to be seen
Ed,
by you.
Kim.
And hey, Cindy, I feel like we're always doing a Happy Half Hour. Time is just flying right by.
Time is flying. We're on COVID time. Let's get this year over with, you know?
Yeah, it's interesting. It feels like we've lived like 5 years this year, but at the same time, time is interesting this year. Hey, Rick and Ed.
And I see David has said that he's looking forward to the Thanksgiving pies. For those of you who aren't longtime clients or are visiting guests, for our clients and sometimes their guests, every year for the past many years, we've had what we call Pie Day. The Thursday before Thanksgiving, we shut down the office, we bring all the chairs in the room I'm in, and we have cookies and cider, really good cider, and we just have a party, and we give everybody 2 pies which have always come from Great Harvest Bakery. Well, this year we can't all get together in a room like this for obvious reasons. And Great Harvest Bakery went out of business, but Amy has found us an alternate source. Do you remember the name, Sam? Amy can chime in if she wants.
Gosh, it's Mama Rock's dessert truck.
Mama Rock's dessert truck.
Yeah, well, so it's a local small business that has guaranteed that they can handle the high capacity of pies that we do each year.
It's just like 400 pies now with all the clients, you know, and we're going to do what we call drive-by pie day. So you're going to come through our parking lot. We're going to put the pies in your car, wave to you through the window, and wish you a happy Thanksgiving. So you should have all gotten emails. If you're a guest on the show and you'd like to do a drive-by pie day with us, you can email us and we'll arrange that too. So we're so glad that it happened. And the food truck, Mama, they're actually going to bring their truck with the pies in the parking lot, and they're going to
Mama Rock's dessert truck. Sorry, I hit the wrong button. So
That's
everybody just saw
okay.
me
Mama
sitting here.
Rock's dessert truck is we're getting to see behind the scenes, is gonna have the pies. They're even bringing help. So this is gonna be great. We're looking forward to this. We're looking forward to this.
Oh, man. And we've had a few more people join us. So, hey, Ed and Kim, did I say? I think I might have said hey to y'all already. Hey, James, Jim, and
Bruce.
Ken and Kay. And oh man, Bruce was using Lotus. Were you using Lotus, Dad? Lotus.
I was using Lotus 1, 2, 3. Those of you who remember Lotus 1, 2, 3, those were the days, you know.
I was a little before my time.
Oh man, I'll tell you. Yeah, you were not born then, actually. I don't think so.
Hey, Jeanette and Fernando and the other Ed.
Barb and Dan are here from the mountains again. Good to see you. You know,
Jeanette, I see you're drinking a nice dry rosé from Kendall Jackson. I'm drinking. You didn't ask me what I'm drinking yet today, Dad.
I did. That was my next question. So, what are you drinking, Sam?
So I am drinking a Waterline beer today. It's my husband works as a brewer at Waterline, and this one's called Oh My. They're doing a series of Star Trek themed beers, and George Takei is known for saying "Oh my," and this is an IPA. Here's a cool fact. I just want to brag for a second.
Yeah.
So my husband he works for Waterline, and Waterline is the very first brewery in Wilmington to win what they call a GABF, Great American Beer Festival medal. Yeah. It's one of the biggest beer competitions in the country. It is the biggest beer competition in the country. It spans the entire country, and they got a medal, the first brewery in Wilmington to get a medal for their Wee Heavy. So I'm really proud of them.
Okay. Well, we're going to have a Make It So and an Engage beer too, you know?
Make it so. I love it.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh.
Michael's drinking a Rioja. That's good. My dad loves Rioja. He loves Spanish Rioja.
Yeah, I'm drinking my normal herbal tea, and actually I'm trying this week I'm trying to do 4 nights without wine. It's been too much wine with this COVID thing, you know, so I decided to take a few days off, you know. I'll make up for it later, maybe, you know.
Hey, Bart and Nancy, so good to see y'all. I hope that he says, Bart, you have a rare afternoon off. It is a beautiful day. I hope that y'all are, sitting facing the river right now, getting a nice view. Oh man, we are just behind.
I see Kay is here again. Kay is always is a regular. Jeanette, Sam, Heidi.
Hey, Heidi.
And Mary from our own crew is here. And
Deb and Jay and Brad and David and Eric and Cindy and Jay and Carter. Oh man.
Yeah, it's like,
and Lynn and JP. Well, welcome everybody. Dad, we've just been chatting away. So what are we talking about today?
We're talking about this, Social Security.
Oh man, I just had to dig my card out. I had to go to the DMV and get the real ID.
Oh, okay. I will tell the story very quickly. I think the statute of limitations is passed, but it was back somewhere before 1996. I was working at the Drakenfeld in Pennsylvania, and I forget what it was, but we had to have, for something I needed my Social Security card, it was faxed in somewhere or something, and I didn't know where it was. So I took one, and I had just gotten the Mac then. It was the early Mac days, and I created the typeface that was really close, and I built my own Social Security card. I took one and made a copy and whited it out and put my stuff in.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh
I mean, it's not hard to forge a social security card.
God.
It's like a courier typewriter font on this, this little card. It
So
was.
you're admitting this.
It's even easier when you're
being recorded.
sending
People
a
are
copy.
watching
Yeah, I
this.
know. I think the statute of limitations is passed, and it was for something. It wasn't for like getting a national secret clearance. It was for.
No, don't do like he did and forge your social security card.
I would never do that again. I'm on the straight and narrow now.
All
I'm on
right.
the straight
All
and
right.
narrow. Well, we
Well,
are going to talk about Social Security, and it's a little. Let's get started so we can.
Absolutely.
We can get.
I know you've got a lot to cover.
Yeah, it's quite a little bit of a story. Now, I want you all to type into the chat because it'll take a minute or two to get us. What is the earliest you can take Social Security, and what is the latest you can take Social Security? So if you know the answers, type them into the chat, and Amy will transmit them to us. But there is an earlier age and a later age, but there's also what's called your full retirement age, FRA for short, because the government likes to give initials to things. That is the age at which you get 100% of your Social Security.
All right, you have some answers here. Bruce
Okay.
said 6270. Let's see. Sally said 6270. Tom 6270. Michael 6270. Cindy 60. Looks like everybody. Kay said 5580.
Okay.
And they must have taken your class before.
They may have. They may have. Indeed, the earliest you can take Social Security is 62. However, if you have lost a spouse, you may be able to take it earlier. And there's a lot of widow and widower strategies we won't have time to talk about right now. But just keep that in mind. You lose a spouse, you may be able to take it earlier. So the soonest you can take it is 62. The latest is 70. You can take it later than that, but it's not going to get any higher. There's a full retirement age, which depending on when you were born will be between 65 and 67. Most of you listening are probably 66 to 67. That's the age you get 100%.
Hey, Dad, what do you think my full retirement age is going to end up being?
Well, yeah,
they may right?
change it. They may change it. Right
Another
now,
30,
it's still
30
67. But I'm not going to go in. We may do a separate. We may do a separate half hour on will Social Security be here. If that's an interest, type in the chat that, yeah, I want to do one of those because I have a 10 or 15 minute presentation on that. So, but we're not going to deal with that today. If you start at 62, instead of getting 100%, you're going to get about 70% of your full retirement age Social Security. And if you can wait to start to 70, you're going to get about 132% of your full retirement age Social Security. So you see, by waiting, you get a higher amount for the rest of your life. And if you do the numbers, it comes out to about 8% per year. Each year you wait, you get about 8% more. Well, right off the bat, you're kind of saying, whoa, where can I get 8% on my money? It may pay to wait, but you got to think, if I started 62, I could collect it for 8 years, and that's money, you know, before, if I started 70, I got 8 years of collection, and even though I started at a higher amount, I've got to go so long to make up the difference and come out ahead. And the years you have to live to come out ahead are about, you got to live to about age 80, 81. And, you know, many of us will probably do that. But, you know, if you are sick, if you think your life expectancy is lower, you may want to start at 62. If, you know, your parents are both alive at 98 and you're a long distance runner right now, you may want to wait till 70 because you'll make out. So this is kind of how they arrange how much you get based on when you start. It gets much more interesting if, like me, you're blissfully married, you know, because if you're married, things change. And we're going to go to one of my favorite hypothetical married couples, Ricky and Lucy. I think we did Ricky and Lucy a couple of weeks ago, didn't we, Sam?
Oh yeah, but
We actually had. What was the holiday that we were doing? It was
National I Love Lucy Day.
yeah, it was a couple of weeks ago. So we're going to do Ricky and Lucy, and like many couples, especially couples years ago, Ricky was the breadwinner. He went off to work, and you know, he orchestrated himself a pretty good career, and I think he even worked his way up till director level, you know. And so he has so much Social Security at his full retirement age. Lucy, though, she worked a little bit. I think she worked in a chocolate factory for a while.
A brief stint.
Yeah, most of the time she stayed home and raised little Ricky and spent a lot of time vacuuming, you know? How much Social Security is Lucy entitled to? She didn't work very much. You know, Sam?
She's entitled to at least 50% of Ricky's Social Security at his full retirement age.
That's right. Lucy and any spouse is entitled to at their full retirement age. They're entitled, if they wait that long, they're entitled to half the other spouse's full retirement age. But it's not even that simple, because you see, Lucy worked in that chocolate factory for 10 years. So Lucy had her own Social Security. This is what her Social Security alone would have brought her. If she was single and worked that long, that's what she'd be entitled to. So she actually gets that, and then the government makes up the difference. But you know, for most people, you can't start the second part. Lucy can't start the second part till Ricky has now started his Social Security. There's a couple exceptions. Let me touch on it real quick. If you were born before January 1st, 1954, you come under some of the old rules that allowed people to kind of double dip into Social Security. They eliminated them about 4 years ago, but if you haven't started your Social Security and you're younger, you know, you were born before that, you should see us, because we can help, might have some extra ways to make more money, but I'm not going to go into details because there's not that many folks left. So Lucy gets half of his. Now, Sam, what happens if Ricky dies? What does Lucy get?
She will get his Social Security. So if one spouse passes before the other, the survivor will get the higher of the two.
The survivor will get the higher. So if one spouse, particularly the high earner, waits, you know, as long as possible, maybe to 70, but at least close, if they wait longer, they're not only getting more Social Security for them, they're getting Social Security for their spouse. And, you know, statistically, us men, we crap out. Ladies may go on for 10, 20 more years. Well, if I maximize my Social Security, I'm doing it not only for me, but for my wife if I outlive them. Now, let's think about it. We got this system where Lucy can start hers at one time. She gets Ricky's when he starts. They both grow at slightly different rates. Ricky can wait, depends how long they live. It's kind of complicated. And so what it's crying out for, and I know some of you engineers and accountants out there are thinking, oh boy, let me get out my spreadsheet. But luckily, some companies have come out and built calculators to help us figure this out. And you can Google free Social Security calculators and find some. We use a company called Social Security Solutions, and you can go to socialsecuritysolutions.com and use theirs. They charge about $50 to run it. It gives a better report. We lease it. That's where many of you on the call probably sat with me when we ran it through that calculator. So you really want to make the decision based on math. You know, you want to be logical about how you do it.
It's interesting. I've found that when pretty much everyone has an opinion about how to take Social Security, but in reality, what works for one person or one couple is not necessarily going to be the right choice for somebody else.
Depends on all the other.
It's important to look at the numbers.
Yeah, it depends on your pensions and how much you have saved. If you want to wait, you got to know you'll have enough money. That's again where our income plan plays in, and that's why we pay attention and integrate this. Now, I'd love to show a real example, you know, of how this works. But Jim, I can't really take a client and show their numbers. But there's one person I can do that for, or one couple, and that's myself. Okay? So I have been blissfully married for 33 or 34 years, something like. I'm
33, so
probably 34 years. And I've been married to a wonderful woman named Sandy. And if I had to describe Sandy, I would say, besides beautiful and intelligent, I would have to use terms like tolerant and forgiving, you know? So, you know, I've been married to Sandy. Now, Sandy is actually 4 years older than me. See, I married a cougar.
Dad, did you ask her if you could share this information before you did this?
I said she was forgiving and tolerant, right? Hopefully she's not watching. No, I said, so I'm gonna move now to the iPad and go to some pictures of this software and show you how it works. Okay.
Absolutely. And while he's doing that, I see that Carol Ann had asked what the break-even year or age is. Carol Ann, that is going to be right about 81. And Barb, the 8%, it goes up 8% from age 62 to age 70. So it is before you reach full retirement age as well. And Sally, if you keep working after age 70, it will make no difference. But when you're 70, you have locked in the amount of your Social Security.
Okay.
All
so
right.
Everybody now, if the gods have smiled on us, everybody can see my iPad screen. And this is sort of David and Sandy. And this is our example. The software puts out reports like this. And you can see it'll give you, for instance, if we live to 90, if she lives to 90, you know, how much we get if we do the optimum versus start early. If we live longer, how much it is. Here's the break-even chart. Remember I mentioned a break-even? This is the break-even for us. It looks like it's about 81 years old. If you're an engineering type like me, you'll be in nerd heaven with this, because see, based upon how long one lives versus how long the other lives, it'll actually calculate all the numbers and show you what the output would be. But perhaps the most useful thing is this chart here, which allows us to calculate how much money we'd make over our lifespans if, for instance, we took it early, if we both started as soon as possible, if we both waited to full retirement age, if we delayed it both to 70. But the one that's kind of interesting is what they call the primary. This is the one that would get us the most money if we, if based on the life expectancy we put in. I'm going to blow this up so we can see it here. So here's the primary. And again, if you look at Sandy, she's a lot like Lucy. Sandy worked for a while. She has her Social Security. I don't know why. Oh, I know. Interesting. She's got her Social Security here, and from working at Corning. I met her at Corning. She worked a number of years, but then when Sam came along, we soon decided it was better for her to stay home and raise Sam than, you know. And
yeah, I was a handful.
You were a handful, but I think it all worked out. I think it was probably the right choice. You all could judge, you know. And here's mine. Well, here's what the software kind of says. The software says Sandy begins benefits based on her earnings down here. She gets benefits at age 66. So at her full retirement age, she starts her benefits. Now, one other thing I forgot to mention. This is assuming that David lives to 85. At age 85, I die. And Sandy lives to 90. Okay, so this is the assumptions built in. This says that I should start my Social Security not at 70, but at age 69 and 10 months. Because we live to those ages, we'll get a smidgen more money if I start 2 months earlier than the full retirement age. The software is that good, you know? Then when I start mine, Sandy adds her benefits. She adds the spousal benefits. They make up the difference between me and her here. See, so they add that difference. So she jumps from 867 to 1360. And then finally, in May 2041, when I die, she picks up my Social Security. So this is the kind of finesse you can get out of this report. And what's even better, if I go back here, we can actually run what's called an alternative report. We can say for clients, well, what happens if let's say Lucy starts right away and collects hers at 62 and Ricky waits to 70, how much difference does that make versus the optimum? And sometimes you'll find it's only $20,000 difference over 30 years. It makes sense to start sooner. Sometimes you find it's a 200,000 difference, and maybe you want to optimize it. So this is a kind of a little look at the software. You know, it's a big part of most people's retirement money. You've been paying into it all these years. You know, you want to make sure you're getting the most from it. You know, you put in, and this software can help you do that. There's methods to this madness and integrating it with your total package. And if you're out there today and you're a guest, you know, or you have not, you may want to just give us a call and say, hey, can you we'll run you through our software we lease, we get unlimited use, and we'll see what that means to you. So.
Absolutely. And I've seen, you know, we're running right up to 5 o'clock, and I've seen a handful of questions come in. So Amy should be able to post a link to a 15-minute call on our calendar. So you can either ask those questions, or you can request to have one of those reports run, or both.
Yeah, we also have a report that's just a general the what, when, who, how, the Social Security decisions. It's a 16-page document, covers what I said plus a lot more. And if you'd like one of these, email us. What's our email?
info@carolinarp.com.
Or you can just reply to the invitation you got for this.
Or you can message us on
email
Facebook.
You one of these.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so are you ready for my favorite part of Happy Half
I
Hour?
am ready. I am ready.
All right. And so I didn't mention this at the beginning, but for those of you who are unfamiliar, for each of our happy half hours, if you send us in, there's a whole array of ways to enter. If you email us with a potential topic, with questions that are coming up about the topic that we're going to be covering, if you just email us and say enter me in the wine drawing, we will get you entered in. You can also refer any friends to the drawing, and if you do that, you just let us know, and we'll enter you in. So yeah, so pretty much any way, if you want to get in the wine drawing, just let us know.
And we'll talk about next week. It's another good chance to get in.
Yeah.
But first, the drawing.
Okay, first the drawing, and so what you're going to win is 2 bottles of wine delivered directly to your doorstep from Fermental. We love Fermental. They're a local bottle shop out of Ogden. And today, our winner is Larry S. So congratulations, Larry.
Congratulations, Larry.
You are our wine winner this week. So I hope that you enjoy.
She, in fact, broadcast live from Fermental a week or 2 ago, you know. Now, what's next week?
What is next week, Dad? You were telling me what you were thinking.
Well, see, next week, those of you who've been around a while, remember I broadcast from a cabin back in, I think, late June. And it's a long story, but we ended up buying that cabin, my wife and I, and a place to go during hurricanes instead of a hotel. And plus, it's this wonderful cabin. It's a little spit of private land in the middle of the Uwharrie National Forest, which is about 3 hours from here. It's sort of between Raleigh and Charlotte. There's this national forest and this river chain, Lake Tillery, PD River, and we've got a cabin there in this community. Great kayaking, hiking. It's just been wonderful. So I'm going up for a week, and so I'm going to broadcast live again. And as a result, we're going to do another Your Questions Answered session. So
it's like the grab bag
of questions. So we've got a lot collected over the past 19 weeks, but if you've got a question that you'd like us to answer, email it to us. Now we don't have time to answer everyone, but we'll pick the most popular and the ones that can be answered in over this venue, and we'll have kind of a fun time. We'll have a fun time. Maybe I'll show cabin pictures. Sam needs to show pictures from her vacation to the mountains where she's above the clouds. So we ought to do that too. So next week's going to be a fun time too. We will see you then. So same 4:30 next Thursday. Carolina Retirement Planners Happy Half Hour. Cheers.
Cheers.